Did you ever think that the Bible story about the flood and Noah was kind of weird? Like, the math wasn't mathing? Have you ever heard of someone called Ziasudra? Have you ever heard of Unnapishma? Have you ever heard these names? Weird names, right? The names Ziasudra and Unnapishma are alternate names for Noah. But these names didn't come after Noah. They came before. 5,000 to 8,000 years before the Bible even existed, was ever even thought of being created, this story already existed. The first time this story was ever written about was in the famous Emerald Tablets. And we also find the story of Noah in the Epic of Gilgamesh. You can find a lot of information about these Emerald Tablets and the Annunaki gods, the Sumerian gods, in the Lost Book of Enki or the Annunaki Chronicles. The Bible story of the flood leaves us with so many questions. Although, if we go back in time, every religion, every culture around the world has their own version of the flood story. But who were the first people to actually write about it? Who were the first people to actually put it down as a historical fact? It was the Sumerians, the famous Anunnaki gods. Let's not get it twisted, because they were not real gods, creators of the universe and all. They were just highly advanced extraterrestrials that came to this planet. My Anunnaki and Lost Book of Enki playlist, as the one of the Garden of Eden, can explain all in detail what I'm talking about. But today, let's talk about the flood story, about Noah's Ark. I want to tell you the origin story, the one that leaves you with no questions on how all of these animals magically appeared on this huge, humongous ark and how everybody got along, lions and gazelle on board. Because that sounds very realistic, huh? I know, right? Since the 1800s, all the way up until modern day today, we keep on finding relics of what are called cuneiform tablets. Some famous ones are the 13 Emerald Tablets. And these tablets predate any and all religions on this planet by thousands of years. In fact, you can get the origin stories all from the Sumerians. These are the real stories. So let's call him Noah, but the real name was Ziasudra or Unnapishtim. Noah was a direct descendant of Lord Enki, one of the two Anunnaki brothers that were the rulers here on Earth. Enki was more of a scientist, geneticist, genius, benevolent person, while his half-brother Enlil was more of a military commander guy. Get the job done. Very little sentiment attached to it. Every Anunnaki had their own personality, just like humans. So once the Anunnaki had done what they had to do on this planet to get the resources they needed to save their own atmosphere, Enlil said that the humans that Enki had created and genetically modified to be the perfect slave race, it was time to wipe them out. They had no more use for them. And here comes the flood. Now, although it's not very specific if the flood was already a natural disaster that had to happen, or if it was created by a weather technology, nevertheless, the Anunnaki had strict orders not to tell the humans what was about to happen. In the meantime, a lot of the Anunnaki had chosen wives amongst the daughter of men, so they wanted to save their families. In fact, some of them, a lot of them, stayed on Earth while this calamity happened. They did not abandon their own. They didn't abandon their wives, and they didn't abandon their hybrid children. And those you would commonly know as the fallen angels. They never fell, and they never were angels. It's different terms for different eras. Enki, when he realizes his brother's plan, that's when he's like, no, I have to save humanity. I have to save my bloodline at least. So he goes to Noah. And on some tablet, they describe him as being a rebel king. He was not a nobody. Noah is now the chosen one of Enki. And Enki gives him the blueprints. And look at what modern day discoveries have found. They found the actual tablet that has the instructions on how to build his ark. But here's the problem. Problem for the story that's been disseminated. Because number one, they're describing a round craft, and the capabilities of this craft are even to go underwater or above water. Like they're describing a flying saucer submarine. Yeah, no wonder nobody's found this huge wooden ark. It was never a wooden ark. At least if we follow this story. Enki tells his son Thoth to get the me and the animals. The me are tablets that explain how to create civilization, laws, medicine, anything, agriculture. And when he said get the animals, what they wrote in the origin story was a DNA bank. These were not real physical animals. These were the DNA, like on petri dishes, of all animal species.